Welcome to Making It with Terry Wollman, the show that explores the secrets, successes, and strategies for making it in the music biz. And now, here's your host, Terry Wollman.
Welcome, I'm Terry Wollman, and you are watching and listening to Making It with Terry Wollman. We're broadcasting here live at the NAMM Show 2020 for Intertalk Media and the NAMM Foundation. And I am with a really talented and very a great guy.
All around great guy.
A very dear friend of mine, Vicki Randle. Hi, Vicki.
Hey, man.
I want to tell you, if you don't already know, let me tell you a little bit about Vicki, and then we're going to start our conversation. And our conversations are always memorable and fun.
And they're not going to follow any path.
No, it's very stream of consciousness with us. Vicki Randle is a singer, guitarist, percussionist, and composer, known as the first and only female member of the Tonight Show band, starring Jay Leno. And you started in 1992 with him.
Right.
Vicki has recorded and or toured with artists including Aretha Franklin, Mavis Staples, George Benson, Lionel Richie, Kenny Loggins, Celine Dion, Herbie Hancock, Wayne Shorter, Branford Marsalis, Lyle Mays. I've had the pleasure of sharing the stage and performing with you as well. And
I wish it was pleasurable, but I'll stop now.
I will stop right there. So I'm a big fan of your music as well.
So a fan of you too.
Thank you.
Oh my God.
As a matter of fact,
this guy.
You know, you gave me a quote.
I did?
That's up on my website, actually.
Right on.
Which was very flattering, so thank you for that.
I wish I knew what I said.
Yeah, I don't remember any of my quotes
Was
either.
it complimentary?
Hopefully.
Oh, good.
I just know my web designer said we should include Vicki Randle's quote, so I said, okay. We'll have to go back and look at that. Again, it was something pretty funny and quite kind, so thank you. We don't get to see each other as often as we used to because you don't live in Los Angeles.
No. I skedaddled out of here after the Tonight Show with Jay, our tenure with Kevin Eubanks and that original band ended in 2010. And I skedaddled out of Los Angeles and went back to Oakland, where there are lots of trees. And I live right next to a stream with lots of redwood trees. Wow. And, you know, it's hard to find that here.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
So.
And you spend a lot of time indoors as a focused musician. You're doing studio work and traveling and touring, but you love being outside. I mean, you exercise, you get out and run with your doggies.
I'm that person. I need to be outside and running around. And you know, I have to say, you know, the air in Los Angeles, you know, it kind of got bad again. Yeah. And you know, there's
you can feel it when you come here now, right?
I can.
Yeah.
I can. Sorry, it feels like I'm like
dogging.
I'm bagging on LA again, but you know.
Well, I understand that because I grew up in Miami. You grew up in Northern California.
Well, I actually grew up in LA.
Oh, you did grow up? I forgot that.
No, I actually grew up in LA.
Okay, well then you have every right because it's your hometown.
It's like, I came by it honestly.
Before I moved here, I remember coming out here when I was younger, like probably 16 or something, you know, just visiting. Yeah. And I swore that I would never live in a city like Los Angeles because the air quality was so bad. It wasn't during the summer.
It's like, it was like you can't see. You can't see the mountains, you can't see anything.
And then, you know, I finished music school and, you know, I was like drawn like a zombie towards the music industry as it was back in the 80s when I came out here. So I understand, you know, I'm sensitive to it's something that's sensitive. I want to have a good, happy, healthy life.
Yeah. And you can do that, and you can do that here. It's just, I want for the people who live here to be able to have the beautiful terrain of Northern California, you know?
Yeah.
I'm a native San Franciscan. Yeah. And it's beautiful up there, and I love it.
Good.
So, and enough of that.
But, you know, work has not slowed down for you since you left the TV, that particular TV show. It's not the only TV thing you've ever done, but
no.
You know, you don't let much moss gather?
I don't. I really like working. I
do too.
love music. Music is, it's not something I do. It's not something I did. I can't remember a time in my life when I wasn't being musical.
Right.
My parents were musicians. It was just a thing that we did in my family. All of my brothers and sisters are musical. Not all of them make their living at it, but I have a brother who's an opera singer. You know, who makes a living at it. But it's something that is as natural as breathing to me. So it didn't occur to me that it was ever going to be something that I would stop or retire from, or, you know. And there are so many challenges. There's so many things that I haven't done yet.
Yeah.
You know.
Right. Well, we were talking about making records.
Right.
You have a new record out. I'm starting work on a new record, and I'm going to show it. We're going to talk about this. But you know what you said to me was, as long as you have something to say, then you should be saying it. And I totally agree with you. Yeah.
And the beautiful thing about music is that you never have to repeat the same thing that you did. You know, you don't have to go back and write that song again, even though the record company that you're working for might want you to write that song again, you know, because it was like a hit. But I mean, that's the ongoing lament of artists, you know. You make a hit, you do something that hits really well, and then they want you to do it for the rest of your life.
Well, and lots of people, Joni Mitchell got blasted for it, and you know.
She's on that billboard. You can't see the billboard.
Oh, really?
But she comes around on that billboard that's rotating right now. And I remember she said, nobody ever said to Van Gogh, paint a starry night again. You know, but it's true. And you know, in my adventures in music, where I decided that it was okay that I didn't have to be the best at everything that I tried, but I really wanted to try everything. I want to play guitar and bass and piano and drums, and I want to do it. So, you know, there's nobody around to tell me not to now. So
that's true. Well, you know, it was one of the things when I first became aware of you, before we were friends. You know, I saw you out there as a percussionist, and then I saw you singing, and I went, oh, that's great. She does those two things, and that's very, very cool. And then as we became friends, I understood, to no surprise, that it was broader than that, because we all do, many of us do more than one thing.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't you?
I just decided that I was never going to say no. You know? I
Yes,
wasn't going to lie to anybody. You know, when they hired me to play with George Benson, in, I guess that was around 1979 or 80, and they said, do you play orchestral percussion? And I was like, no.
Oh, you did? You didn't go, yes, I do.
I do not play orchestral percussion, but if you put me in a room, I could probably learn some things. Well, it was the same thing when I played with Narada Michael Wollman. He wanted me to go and play drum kit, you know, while he went down and played a timbali solo on my timbales, which he would ruin he would punch a hole through the head. He would break a cymbal. He played with the giant sticks, like, you know, baseball bats, and I would go up on his giant kit where he played on his toes and just try to keep 2 and 4. And I didn't lie to him and say I could play, because I couldn't. But you know, I said, if you just, you know, put me in a room for 3 days and let's see if we can do it. And you know, I ended up being able to play well enough to do that tour. So it seems to be working. You know,
Cap Mo asked me the same thing when he asked me to join his band for a year. He said, do you think you could also play keyboards on some songs, some second keyboards? And I go, well,
sure, why not?
Yeah, I guess we can find out. I'm certainly game, and tell me what songs. I'll start learning them.
Yeah.
And we did.
Well, that's
and
the thing about you. You're curious. You're I mean, you have this enthusiasm for music, and it's infectious. And that's what I think is the most interesting thing about music, is that it's like, it's there, it's as big or as little as you want to make it. It's as narrow or as wide. it's just, you can just keep making joy.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, because we really are in the joy business.
Yeah.
You know, when it comes down to it, it's about moving people and being moved.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I know some people, I mean, there are as many ways to play music as there are people.
Mm-hmm.
Some people have a thing that they want to do. They have been trying to get this thing. It's a
Right.
technique,
Right.
and they are going to be masters of that technique. And they have,
Right.
a group of fans who are like, look at this technique, and they worship this thing.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, that brings them joy. That brings, you know.
Right.
To me, it's about connecting. To me, it's about reaching out to the people who are there, either listening, you know, here to the
Right.
things, to the music we make, or my personal joy is live music, is live
Yeah.
performing.
Right.
I want to reach out, and I want that to be a circle. I want to give and receive, and I want you to have a smile on your face.
Right.
You know.
Right.
I want it to, you know, not on the sad songs. You know, I want you to cry.
Right.
I want to make you
Yeah,
cry.
yeah. Right.
But that to me is the whole point of it, is to connect with people.
Yeah.
You know.
So we're talking about making records, and you have a new record, and it's called, the band is Skip the Needle.
Yeah.
And this album is called We Ain't Never Going Back.
That's right.
And I want everybody to check it out. And I don't say that every time I pick up a CD. I mean, you would think that it's my place to do that, hosting the show, but it, you know, pretty much anything that you do musically, I find interesting.
Thank you.
And also the thing is, I'm a big believer in supporting artists.
Yes.
Independent artists especially, which are most of us. I'm an independent artist as well. And the cool thing about this is this is a band.
Yeah.
You know, it's a collective group of artists that make these records. So what inspired this record? And tell me about it.
Well, it's most of the songs, a lot of the songs on this record are essentially protest songs.
Good.
You know, they're
Why am I not surprised?
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you know, I started playing with my friends. This is the second set of songs we wrote together, and that's one of the things that makes this band so interesting to me, is that we write as a group.
Yeah.
We all bring in something, and we really, really wanted to address this political climate that is so fraught right now. I mean, that's kind of what the song is saying. We're not going back, you know. We drew a line in the sand, and this is where we're going to stay.
Right.
You know, you know, the album's it's not all me yelling, you know, but it's
Battle Cry,
you know.
Be What You Want, Black Lives,
Yeah.
The Keys, Music Saves My Life,
Yeah.
Kingdom Playground, Entwined, Liberation, We Ain't Never Going Back.
right.
Well, that sounds like there's an arc to the story
Yes.
of this record. What are you most angry about and most afraid of right now in our political climate? I'm you know, the thing that scares me, and feel free to disagree or agree, because I want everybody to have their opinion, and I think it's important to dialogue. But you know, the fact that our nation is pretty much close to half divided by the people in this country who are willing to look the other way towards racism and sexism and bullying and a lot of things that I find really walking us backwards culturally.
Yeah.
And it terrifies me, and it makes me sad. And we grew up in a generation of artists who used music to protest, to stop the Vietnam War,
That's right.
to march together with Dr. King. So I appreciate that you are holding the torch using art to make a cultural statement. So what's on your mind? I mean, what do you see with where we're at, and what scares you the most? What gives you the most hope?
Well, what scares me the most is that people it takes a lot to get people to take any action.
Right.
And that's the thing I think that scares me the most, is that we have to be willing to put ourselves out. We have to be willing to step outside of our comfort level. We have to be willing to understand that if we, each one of us, doesn't take, do the barest minimum that we can do, voting, supporting candidates that, supporting causes that we believe in. If we don't do the bare minimum, the people who are more motivated will take that space.
Right.
And the people who are more motivated mostly are people who have money and power and want more of it.
Right.
And the people who are going to suffer are the people who don't have that. So what gives me hope is that there is, what's happening tomorrow is the Women's March, for example, all over the country and all over the world,
Right.
What gives me hope is that women are really taking up more space every day in a way that it's incredibly inspirational, because it's really hard to step, like I said, outside of your comfort level and do something that is terrifying, that people aren't gonna like. You're gonna make people uncomfortable.
Right.
Oh well.
But making people uncomfortable creates dialogue.
Yeah.
And not, by dialogue, I don't mean arguing or hating each other. I mean dialogue, like being curious.
Yeah.
And willing and open to hearing what somebody has to say, which is really hard, because our country has become so divisive under President Trump. I'll say it. I mean, I typically don't speak, publicly about it, but it's just the truth. It's an observation, and I applaud you for using your music to shake the trees. And to get people to wake up and be involved. And one of the things that fascinates me, and I feel like maybe I'm sounding like my parents or aging myself, and but it blows my mind when I talk to young 20-year-olds that are in college, like currently in school, and I'll say, what's your stance politically? Like, where do you stand? And they go, well, I don't really get involved. And I don't even understand it. I can't wrap my head around that, because they go, well, I don't really know, I don't know what to believe or who to vote for. I go, you're in college, and they have this thing called a library, and there are these people called teachers.
Yeah, you do sound like your parents.
Well, I hope that's part of the good that I carry on from them, and not the bad traits. But the thing is, how do you, as an artist, as a musician, as educated and world-traveled, compassionate Black woman, can we throw in gay?
Yes, we can throw in gay.
So, am I missing any? Dog lover, auntie, there's, there's a lot to you, but what do you say to people to wake them up, to get them to go write their own songs or listen to yours, or just to be involved, to get involved and make a stance, whoever that is. Vote to keep the president in, vote to get somebody new, and whatever your point of view is, have one.
It's hard to get somebody interested in. It's hard to. It wasn't hard for me. I wear this when I walk out into the world.
Right.
People respond to me sometimes solely based on the color of my skin. Right? Yeah. Solely based on my gender.
Right.
It's hard to motivate people who don't have that experience, who haven't had that experience, to explore and to understand what it's like to not be able to talk somebody into knowing whether or not. I can't sometimes get ahead and say, I'm really more than that, or here's a sentence so you know that I'm, people make snap judgments, and I have to live that way or deal with that.
And I've heard the phrase, and I understand it clearly from people friends, family that are dear to me. I've been Black my whole life.
Right.
So, right.
Like,
it's not what color shirt you put on.
So,
or what your T-shirt says or doesn't say.
You know, sometimes I feel like I'm half Black and half white. My mom's white. My dad was Black. So I got to see things through these different perspectives,
right.
and I got to see, and as I was growing up, I really got to understand, like, I have internalized this message. I've internalized this racism. I've internalized colorism. I've internalized a whole lot of things that I have to divest myself of.
Right.
And I'm constantly learning new ways of speaking and new ways of addressing someone with respect and new ways of learning how to overcome my own biases. And if I can do that, then, you know, anybody can do that.
Right. Right.
And I mean, the point is to learn how to love each other the way we are, you know? And honestly, that's part of this record is about waking up, and part of this record is about just pure joy. Coffee Brown is the drummer in the band. She has a new record coming out as well. And she's just pure joy, joy of music. So you know, that's the way it works. It's you can't usually yell at somebody and ask them to listen to you.
Right.
I usually try to entice them. You know. So it's interesting that we ended up talking about politics.
Yeah, it is unexpected, but it's honest, and that's what the show's about.
Yes.
And that's what our friendship is about.
Yes.
Everybody, the album is called Skip the Needle. That's the name of the band. We ain't never going back. And go download it, stream it, buy it. Come on, $10.
You can go to Bandcamp. You can
That's
pay
right.
whatever you want.
But support live music. Whatever you do, support art. Again, I'm here with my dear friend, Vicki Randle. And you are listening and watching us on Making It with Terry Wollman live at NAMM 2020. Thanks, everybody.